But wait, the game is not over yet because there's a shit ton of post-game content to do. So more parts. So let's continue on with more parts.
And single.
And the best thing is that for our audience, it'll be like we never left.
Alright, so wants to watch single. Go ahead, Joe.
The next talented individual I would like to introduce you to is a gifted bard by the name of Single. He has spent many long years traveling the world and honing his craft so that his songs are guaranteed to touch the hearts of all who hear them.
I like this look. I love to hear him sing.
Oh, he's handsome under there, I can tell.
Single, eh? Could he come from Gopal?
Maybe
He
yes.
looks like he came from Agrabah.
Well, Joe. We'll find out where he did come from later, Joe. Not now. And that's one of Kateo's characters. Go ahead, Joe.
Allow me to introduce you to a geomancer by the name of Deka. By sensing the flow of energy within the land, he can learn all there is to know about a region. But in truth, he is more interested in trying local delicacies than he is in the mysteries of the world. Yet for some reason, everybody wants a piece of this guy.
You were saying, Teo, sorry?
No. Well, I forgot the specific. If I mentioned in the finale, the OG finale,
He
at one
sounds
point,
amazing.
whatever he does. Yeah, sounds like a magical guy, right?
You could call him the gourmet geomancer.
No, I forgot which specific point I mentioned. I was for the finale of the G game, but right now, as we start this, I'm practically almost done with all the DLCs campaign and the adventure pack, so I kind of know how things are going to go. But of course, just like I mentioned, the terms are drastically different, including the name of the character, so I want to see how the game handles it, especially because the way you recruited these three particular gentlemen is a bit unconventional, particularly single.
Century's a woman by the description.
Okay, gentle people.
Century is a woman, yes.
Yeah, but the
Get it? Century.
Well, similar to Millennia, you have noticed that their names are reference to time. I don't specifically know what it's supposed to mean, but it gives them a cohesive. True, but it connects them in that kind of sense. And me and Pedro kind of know where they're coming from, so I wonder if it's tied to that or not.
It is.
Evan, that's a nice new outfit you've got.
Yes, basically, this is the outfit you win when you complete the game for the first time. The Robes of Unity, obviously. So that's Evan's kingly robe, basically.
Gosh, check out my new threads, guys!
Very nice, Evan, very nice.
I like to show them off.
There you go.
I'm just gonna leave Doloran there.
Basically, whenever you complete the game and you reload it, it loads you right back to before the final boss. So go ahead.
Guys, I come from the future. We totally beat Doloran in the future, so we have nothing to worry about.
Doloran will have to wait eternally, agonizingly there.
King Evan, aren't you forgetting something?
No, don't worry. I mean it. I mean, these clothes are proof that we defeated Doloran.
King Evan, I swear we're supposed to do something.
No, we already did it. Back to the kingdom now.
A king's job is never done.
I guess so, yeah.
Look at the bright side. Now we don't have to say goodbye to the friends we made across the journey.
I'm sorry. I may be able to forgive Zip, but I can't forgive Doloran. For what he did.
Yeah.
Sacrificing so many people to save just one? That isn't something any ruler worthy of the name would ever do.
True.
I forget, did we learn about this before or after our final encounter with him?
Beforehand.
Well, technically beforehand, yeah.
After, but I was thinking before the final boss, but yeah, after fighting Doloran. Himself.
Yeah, basically, I'm just wondering if this game does, that thing that a lot of RPGs do. Like, you'd be surprised. Sometimes an RPG will act like, oh, you actually have beaten this guy, even though when you go back to your save point, it's before you beat him.
Depends.
Sort of like a Mega Man
I can actually answer that too. I'll give you a moment. Basically, Joe, but what you're saying right now, these are the very last conversations you can have that are unlocked in the
Story-related.
in the throne room.
In the
post game. So yeah, these are the final in canon conversations because the expansions they basically just because see here's how the expansions work. The expansion number 1 takes place after chapter 5, so technically it's in canon in between chapter 5 and 6. Because
I get it.
Because it depends. You can tell that by the way the expansion's unlocked, because you can only do the first expansion after completing chapter 5. So
in a sense, when you get down to it, it's almost like they're treating it like we've saved the day now, which I guess can make some sense, seeing as how, as far as we know, Roland had to go back to his world sometime after, we had the celebration and everything.
Exactly.
So there you go. So there you go,
what
guys.
Reason could
We
Dalaran
defeated
possibly
the great evil, and now we can just relax, do stuff. And we totally don't have to sadly say goodbye to Roland in this continuity.
I guess. Even I could not have predicted that it would come to this.
Well, it did, but we came and kicked this butt.
So
who to talk next?
I think so. Batu, what are your thoughts about this?
What's all this business with Theodora having this goodness the same blessed face? Why, they could be twins.
Let's kill both of them.
So and other. Not to worry.
Yeah, probably.
When you have a twin dilemma, kill both of them.
God.
No, not the twin dilemma, Tio, please, no.
Tony, I don't know, never mind. I forgot that they each have 2. Go ahead.
Come on, laddie. Let's show that horde what for and beat 7 trees of something out of scurvy dog Dalaran. You're the only one that can lead us to victory, so get to it, curses!
But that's the thing, I already did.
You, Roland, was from other place beyond our world, but I never knew his homeland was razed to the ground.
I was about to say to him, now your voice is sounding fine, but just before you were making him sound like a toothless old man.
Poor Boddly is not that old.
Maybe that's why I grew that mustache.
Not even for Japanese standards.
Suppose now we know why the swamp seems so wise beyond his years. Just a hard one's wisdom indeed.
He's talking about how Roland is
North Korea.
Fun fact, Roland's real age is actually the same age as Go ahead, Shiro.
Cute.
Everybody's back to their normal selves, including everyone in Cloud Canyon. We did it. We actually did it.
Hey guys,
Indeed we did.
Yes, Shiri?
Dad, please remember your dentures next time.
Oh.
Shiroi, Tani only calls him boss. She never actually calls him that.
True. And there's a meaning behind that. We'll see in the future.
Boss, bring your dentures.
But
also, Jovan, without saying too much, and don't ask me too much because everything will be said in due time, I can tell you right now, since we kind of had this kind of dilemma throughout the entire game, especially during the Aeropolis parts, the DLCs finally put a definitive answer on the identity of this game, if it's a direct sequel or not. It's not as simple, but it's a thing that basically answers to both me and your theory and Pedro's. But again, just trust me on this one. We'll see it later.
Well, Teo,
be interesting.
Well, Teo, saying it right now doesn't actually spoil anything. So he himself told us in an interview before the game came out.
Remember how Drippy tells in the first game how there's an infinite multiverse. Every kind of thing happens in any different world with different infinite combinations. This is technically a different world from the one of the first Kuni. However, it is still a direct sequel because later on, oh god, I forgot the name in
the
English.
Conductor.
Not just the conductor, but also the fairy name in English. God damn it! Because in Italian it's a completely different name. Pedro.
Lofty.
Lofty, thank you. Lofty will tell that the reason why his trial was made to resemble the story of the first game was because he's a legend that he learned from the place he was born, a village of fairies. The kind of idea that it's got is that it is possible, mind you, not a confirmation, that he was born in the one of the first, in the world of the first game, and eventually was waiting to become a Kingsmaker in that pot of stew that happens, that just so happens to have the Kingsmakers waiting inside as a sort of interdimensional pocket. It's
So
a
it's
bit
like-
weird, but it connects to the idea that every single of these multiverse worlds are connected in some kind of fashion. And it gives a good excuse, as me and Pedro talked about the fact that the game, every game or media can be just set in a different world, so the rules can be changed accordingly.
It allows Hino to
everyone
make it.
wins.
It allows Hino to make as many of these games as he can, and make each of them as similar for the purpose of nostalgia, or as different as he wants. And he can,
just
and,
with a different thing.
and he can just say it's a different multiverse. The difference that this one happens to have these specific differences and these specific similarities, just because I wanted to. You know,
And
basically.
I guess one can say that this is a sequel to that world in the sense where
Technically, it's like a parallel story.
Timeline-wise, technically speaking, happens after the events of the first game, just in a different world altogether. That's why it's not affected.
Sure, that
King,
makes sense.
King, as we've seen in Ding Dong Dell, King Tom. There is a King Tom.
There is a King Tom,
There
for
was.
example.
There was at least. There was. It's one of Evan's ancestors, as you just confirmed. There was a King Tom in this game, in this particular multiverse, but it's a different King Tom than the one we know from the first game because
Basically,
multiverse.
sort of, I don't know if you read it, but at least you watch maybe Linkaro's review of The Exiled. It's similar in a way of how some timelines gets split by kind of events, like the 2099 timeline gets split as soon as Proteus enters, and it creates two different ones. That's the kind of idea. It has a potentially common past, or at least in some capacity, but a different future, if that makes any sense. I'm sorry, Shiri, if we confuse the fuck out of you, but believe me, it does make sense in the
No, I
end.
was just gonna ask, aren't Personas 3 through 5 in the same situation?
Kind of.
Yes and no. Okay, Shiri, it's a different beast altogether. That's what the entire SMT franchise in general, including all the spin-off, there's this entire idea that the world is trapped in a never-ending cycle where God, Jehovah, resets the world periodically, but humanity keeps making the same mistakes over and over. But it seems that with SMT4 Apocalypse, this is over, or maybe not. Because I just say, without spoiling too much, the events of Persona 5 gives the idea that it's not over. But to give an idea, there is some continuity between each title, but there are elements of world resetting here and there. Again, another reason why to make each game its own distinct feeling. I can tell you that at least the first two Personas are connected with the Devil Summoner series, because the Raido Kuzunoa agency is present. But it's a topic for another time.
I knew that from the very beginning, because, like, basically, for those who aren't aware, Hino did give an interview in 2017 where he was specifically asked about the timeline stuff, and he specifically said that this Ni no Kuni, in case for people who forgot, Ni no Kuni is Japanese for another world, so he means this world. This Ni no Kuni is a different Ni no Kuni that is a parallel world. So from the beginning, I was already knowing this because, well, Hino specifically told us in this interview.
I do
However,
wonder what happened.
However,
Again,
go ahead, Teo. Finish.
I was legitimately confused because the Namco Bandai, whoever this guy was, that meant that instead was a direct sequel. But again, what I was confused the most about was the fact that there was no communication, or, maybe Hino telling this guy to shut the fuck up.
And the actual context of the game didn't help, because as far as the game does go, until we get to this eventual post-con
expansion,
until we get to
DLC
this eventual
expansion.
this expansion stuff, as far as anyone is playing this one, as far as anyone would know, this could very well just easily be a sequel to. The past events are reflected on, the lore matches up, and it turns out that Evans's successor was in fact a King Tom. So, okay, to the Namco Bandai guy's credit, I can see why he would have said this was a sequel, since it's like, well, playing this game, I mean, without Hino's words, we would probably think this was a sequel from the get-go.
I will say this, Java, in itself, the game in itself, just out of context of the development cycle, doesn't really have any fault because it's a story built to be accessible for newcomers with the bonus stuff added for veterans, first and foremost.
Oh yeah, pretty much.
It's only if you follow the development of the game where the confusion may start to arise and all.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I said, it's like, as far as anyone's concerned, this could easily be a sequel, and I guess it is nice that we have that expansion stuff to clarify on it.
In general, Java, the expansion, specifically the second DLC is, well, okay, even a bit the first, but not too much more the second, is essentially built to answer stuff that the main campaign lacked, like having a bit more character development for some characters we didn't have, explaining some more plot details, and sometimes even have the characters just hanging around and chatting, more organically instead of just going through the paces of going through each.
Oh yeah, another thing, beating the game, beating the main story. Sorry.
Hold on.
Beating the main story unlocks all the last possible levels of research development. So now I can actually research everything. Go ahead, Joe.
Including also upgrading your kingdom to level 4.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, as I was saying, it's like, I was never really bugged by the idea of whether or not this was a sequel or not. It's like Tio said, if you haven't been following the development of this game, it's not that big a bother. But I guess for people who were following the development of the game, it is nice that we get final clarification, because I'll admit it would be pretty confusing overall, because like I said, if I were to just play this game without hearing what Hino said, I'd have probably just assumed Dwibsy's a cat. They don't.
Not just that, it's a farmer. It's more convenient. These overalls are best for this environment.
They're gonna claw your face.
Well, he's not. Well, he's not.
It's Yashiro. It's technically a Grimaud King. It's totally different.
It's
Sure.
It's my race of cat people. It's totally different.
That said, yeah, like an M Combined, I should have actually talked to level 5 and asked about this kind of stuff.
Again, this is also what makes me confused, because if anything, according to also recent stuff, like again the popping up of the remaster of the first game, it tells me that at least for the localization in the West, well, not just localization, but the accessibility of the game in the West, Namco Bandai seems to be in a good relationship with Level 5. So I do wonder where this particular bit of lack of communication actually comes from.
Well,
going off of
maybe it was just an innocent mistake, to be honest. I seriously thought there's anything else in that.
I'm not accusing anything, and hold on.
To be fair, going off of the actual explanation from what Tio has told me, I guess calling this a sequel isn't really a contradiction to the actual truth, seeing as how apparently in the final reveal you could actually consider this as a sequel. Again, the events do take place chronologically after that of the first game, just in a different dimension. So in a sense, maybe the reason Hino didn't correct the guy was because he technically wasn't wrong in a sense.
I've been thinking, what if Lofty got a job as the host of a cookery show involving Higgledy? I can imagine how it would go. Hello everybody, my name's Lofty, and welcome to Cook the Higgledies. In this one, I'm going to show you how to
turn... I think it was cook with the Higgledies, not cook the Higgledies.
Actually, Shiro, you cook to make Higgledies, so
remember, Shiro, their representation of the elements when they get cooked in a pot and they just pop
Today,
out.
we're going to learn how to make blue and green Higgledy soup. First, you get a bunch of blue and green Higgledies, then you get a cauldron, and then you burn the motherfuckers alive!
I'm actually surprised you didn't make a Star Wars holiday special joke.
Here's a little,
I love how we're having this high and mighty philosophical debate on whether or not this is truly a sequel or even in the same dimension as the first game, and then Dwibs' spots are a cooking show of Lofty.
That's Dwibs. That's Dwibs for you. His mind wanders.
Honestly, most philosophical conversations aren't like...
Well, shit, philosophy, man. Anyway.
The Wachowskis really ruined you, Dwibs.
Yeah, I know.
To be fair,
not all philosophy has to
be... They ruined an entire generation, too. That's the problem. Anyway.
I suppose.
Here's a story for the audience. Basically, like Teo just said, that behind the scenes, both me and Teo were having this back and forth about whether or not this was a sequence stuff, and I chose to side with the alternate universe theory because that's what he knows. That since he's the writer and director of the goddamn thing, obviously he would be the best accurate source. However, Teo still didn't want to go with that instead. However, I turned out to be right. So now we'll take this advantage to to make a little bit fun of Teo by quoting from one of my favorite movies. I warned you. I warned you, but you didn't listen to me, did you? Now it is a sequel, isn't it? Oh, it's always the same thing.
Well, at least I didn't die, I guess.
To be fair, weren't you both right? I mean, Tia was right about this being a sequel that takes place afterwards, and I guess you were right about it being an alternate universe. So technically,
I suppose, but it reeks a bit of cop-out in that kind of sense. I do, again, and besides what I want to take the most out of the thing wasn't exactly who said what or who said what.
How about this? Sorry. Go ahead. Finish.
It was more just the mere fact of confusion.
Okay, how about this? We'll compromise and like in The Simpsons. Okay, so technically both me and Teo were right. Hooray! Everyone's a winner! There you go.
There's a quote now to use.
Hold on. Actually, hold on, because this particular
Adventure
quest
Pack.
on the Adventure Pack is actually interesting. Shirai.
A pleasure, Evan, as always. We have had word from
Boddly.
Oh God, not her!
Not her again.
Of your quest to attempt the God's Maid's trial.
Boddly's a nice lady. Boddly's a nice lady. Leave her alone.
No, she's a naughty lady who wants to be spanked.
You said it, not me.
Took all the subtlety out of
You
the
said subtlety.
Subtlety be damned, that woman is thirsty.
Hold on.
Shirai?
Zeta, born of Saiyan, the god of gods himself. Alas, when belief in him was
Waned. Yeah.
her power too dwindled.
Basically,
People just didn't believe in fairies enough.
Basically, the post-game expansions also expand a bit more of the lore, especially the Lair of the Lost Lord expansion. So there's also a little bit of that for Teo, and not to mention the Lair of the Lost Lord brings in a whole new slew of weapons into the game, which I'm sure Teo appreciates.
Yes.
Sounds like fun.
Continue, Shirai, please.
But she was feared in her time. Greatly so, revered also. How times have changed.
Evan, how long do I have to keep this smile up?
You're the comedy relief character.
Explain this
Just fire away.
You're the comic relief character, Lottie. You're supposed to bring joy into the game.
But my face is currently frozen like this if I'm not careful.
Lofty got a lot of Botox.
Yeah, he's not even turning to Evan in case he's in wonder. He's just like, Evan, please help.
Go on.
The records Boddly found concerning the trial were incomplete.
Of course they were, so...
Go complete them, I guess. But what she did find reminded me of something. It is an ancient tale of our land. A tale of the godsmith.
Time for lore / backstory.
You're the ruler, you solved the bloody thing.
No, Lottie, don't you see? It's all preparation for when we eventually have to rule all 4 of the kingdoms as one.
We already do.
Yes, but this will make it official. Anyway, proceed.
How more official can you make it?
Lofty.
Almost as official as that contract you had me sign.
Lofty. Take your Ritalin. You're going nuts again.
Wait, but Ritalin? Pedro, Ritalin's for ADD.
Okay, what was that thing that calms down people then?
Rohypnol, I guess.
Okay, never mind then.
Right, no.
Tells of how a wizard once stood against her. I used to love to hear it.
Hey, how funny, because we had to stand against you.
I can imagine how it would go. Once upon a time, there was a wizard that stood against somebody. He died, the end.
A wizard. Once upon a time, a wizard did it. The end.
Gandalf?
Yes, why not?
He was brave and righteous, and could not bear to see her
So disaster.
So disaster.
Sorry, I can't concentrate with the squeaking in the background.
That's okay. Java, take over, please.
He was brave and righteous and could not bear to see her sad disaster wantonly throughout the world, so he called on certain spirits and faced her with their aid. And finally, he succeeded in sealing her
Oh,
away.
you can change your voice now.
Yes, I can. Once he had, people forgot about her, about the trials she sent to torment them, and the world grew peaceful once more. They had cause to be grateful indeed.
So what happened then?
I'm guessing
word
the
trials being read in that voice is giving me some kind of PTSD, but I can't.
You see, remember, guys, there's a recurring problem in fantasy fiction where instead of killing the bad guy, they just seal him, and then eventually that seal breaks. The Power Rangers movie did this. Sonic Adventure games did this. It's like Final Fantasy X did this.
Nobody checks on their sealed Eldritch Abomination.
The moral of the story here is, everybody, don't seal your villains. Kill them.
No.
Even
guys,
so,
guys,
Park
guys,
had a
guys,
recent episode about that.
Guys. Indiana Jones had the right idea. Seal the great evil or power away, but seal it in a place where nobody will be able to find it. Seal it in a cargo box with an entire armada field of cargo boxes that has to be gone through bureaucracy to get to. There, boom, instantly sealed. No one's getting to it.
I guess, yeah.
The spirits with which the wizard allied himself were Higgledy's, of course,
Christ, not those again.
Grabe the Glowering, Mumbian the Mover, Kalu the Carabinier, and Coronach the Cranky. These were their names. People tended to laugh at them.
What next, Harry the Happy?
Yes, and next we'll also get Grumpy. We'll also get Sneezy.
Dopey the Dolt.
The Professor and Marianne. I guess.
Here in Gilligan's Isle. Bring them to me. I hope to see you back here soon. Even though they've never been seen for all these years, I'm sure you'll be able to find them.
God, I love how she went
It's
to
simple.
explain all the backstory, but then she was like, bring them to me, I'll go.
It's super easy. Barely an inconvenience.
It's easy.
Really?
Alright, so now all we do is get the Higgledies that she told us. So basically we can just make them. So
yeah, these particular
And
ones.
while we are on the subject of Higgledies, I seem to remember Leander being rather a marvel when it came to imitating their voices. Ooh, that must have been nice foreplay.
The more we learn about these couples' kinks, the worse it
gets. So you're telling me that oftentimes in the bed job, Nero is all like, yes, speak like a Higgledy, Leander.
Yes, I feel like Gorgon the Grumpy.
You know how much it turns me on.
It has been many years since I last heard him. Oh, yeah, totally.
Forever a complete ruined childhood.
Perhaps you can enlist his aid.
Okay, then. I guess we have next step at least.
And remind me to tell him to speak to me on that tonight. I have a urgent need.
Not in front of Evan.
Oh, come on now. I'm sorry.
Lofty, I think it's too
well
late.
groomed enough.
Or is it no sense?
Honestly, Lofty, at this point, my childhood's been ruined enough. I'm pretty much immune to this.
Oh, yeah, sure. Oh, wait, the king and his assistant don't get any bloody lines.
Lofty? Lofty? Are you coming?
Oh, such so big.
Why are you staring up her... Oh, my...
Okay, so...
Oh my god, Lofty! He's still back there!
Notice how...
he's
yes, Pedro.
Notice how Fido and Newbie were there together, meaning there's another side quest involving them, but we'll do that later. For now...
Oh boy, it's time to cook some Higgledies.
Okay, then this is... now everybody, cooking Higgledies with Lofty. Lofty?
Oh boy, yeah, that was
good. We found Grabe the Glowering.
Grabe the Glowering.
Mummy the Mover. With you mix a whirlpool shell, then you put in a wave skipper shell.
Yes, Okay, first of all, you take a crit hit. Sorry, I remember we need this. We need to cook Higgledies into existence and then eat them afterwards.
Of course.
How do you even eat Higgledies? They're spirits.
Simple. Simple.
You absorb their essence.
You get a straw and you suck the spirit.
There you go, Kalu the Carabinier.
A special straw, found only in the king's quarters.
That's why we are just the talk of town.
Kalu the Caribbean, and for some reason Kalu has a postman hat.
That's because that's because it's similar to uniform of soldiers who used a carabine back in the day. So that's the pun.
I guess.
In my country, it's called like a national hero we have here, Garibaldi. So makes sense.
All right, Leander. Now we need you to do whatever it is you and Neria do in bed with these Higgledies.
And that is not something a child of your age should know.
Well, I know it, and it's never leaving my mind. Happy now?
No.
You're never happy, even though you look it.
Don't you see? This smile is all that I have to make sure my soul does not go into darkness.
Jesus.
Well, though your heart it is aching.
Which one's Leander again? Sorry, I've forgotten.
The wizard.
Purple-suited one.
Well, technically his suit is more like dark colored blue rather than purple. But
No, I definitely would say it's purple.
Yeah, definitely purple.
I guess, sure.
All we need to do is dye his hair green and he's set to go.
There they are.
Can you read now, Shiroi, now that the squeaking
Yes,
seems to be gone?
The squeaker has been taken away. Grave the Glowering, Mumbian the Mover,
Hello.
Caribbean?
Yeah.
Yes.
Carabinier.
And Coronach the Cranky.
All right, now try saying that 3 times fast.
Grave the Glowering, Mummy and the Mover, Kalu the Caribbeaner, and Coronach the Cranky. Grave the Glowering, Mummy and the Mover, Kalu the Caribbeaner, and Coronach the Cranky.
It's always
Grave the Glowering,
Jova.
Mummy and the Mover, Kalu the Caribbeaner, and Coronach the Cranky.
Pedro, next time, say specifically who you mean.
Yeah, Jova, we appreciate the sentiment, but every time we ask one of these challenges, you're not compelled to do it.
Well, at least Mombian is happy.
Sorry.
At
It's
least
still a matter of vegetable, animal, and mineral, and the very model of a fast-tongue speaker general.
That's not how it goes.
Stop.
Oh, sorry, that's you, sir.
That's 3 voices now for her.
It is as if the tales of my childhood have come to life. What fun.
yeah, Mombian is having a lot of fun, as you can see, right there.
But what about the cranky one?
The cranky one is
He's the dark one.
yeah, he's right there, sneaking behind Evan. It looks.
I think it's
Hey.
his tail.
Totally just his tail.
Now look to the token. You have proven yourself strong in spirit. Perhaps you will now be deemed worthy of the trial.
Well, to
Sit
well,
down.
well, to be fair, at least this test of courage is better than just going into a temple to fight monsters that we have to use cast
Oh,
float
now
on.
we get bloody lines.
But your work is still not complete, it seems. We must return to Boddly and see what
no.
must be done next.
All right,
Oh,
back.
Go meet Boddly.
All right,
I swear, the lines to get into the Millennium Stadium are shorter than this.
all right. To the Gold Pearl Library.
In the next part, I guess. But
Yes, in the next
time.
part.
Yeah, so you won't have to speak to Boddly just yet. It's fine. I should think her investigations will have progressed by now. I think a visit to the library is in order.
Oh, do we have to, Mom?
I don't want to go to the library. I can't even read half the bloody books. They're the language I don't understand.
Well, maybe
That's
this is.
what Roland-
Then I'm not your
That's
mother.
what Roland is for, Lofty.
Who's Roland again?
Our friend, the one who saved me from dying.
Oh, the one who decided to fuck my previous life.
I don't think he
Well,
had
don't
much
he
of a
have a
choice.
choice?
I don't. Judging from the after credit scene, I don't think so. But whatever. Moving on.
Yeah, Pedro, he's lofty. You know, he can still hold a bit of a grudge even for some of the more odd reasons.
Poor Lofty. All right.
He'll never get over it.
Never get over it. Okay, so see you for the next part, everybody, where we go back to Boddly.
Yeah.
My favorite.
See you, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.